I might add my jack
That would be appropriate.
Has other services and charges. Pull up this software. Tina.
Joe's up here. Why didn't you?
The extension office is on there too.
Well, let's do the March 8th one.
Who wasn't it? I got it here. Dudley, Tom, Kelly, and Bill. Dale and Jim were absent.
Okay,
Jim was on Zoom.
okay. So that's the March 1st and March 8th. What you were sent said that Jim McKee was absent, but he was actually on Zoom. And what we're gonna sign has down that he was on Zoom, so you can go ahead and do both of those at the same time, or just make sure Dale and Jim Lee do not sign the March 1st one, and everyone signs the March 8th one, okay? So is there a motion to approve those? Bill, second? Tom, all those in favor?
I'm so used to saying aye.
Yeah, that's it, I'm gonna get over it. Which one are we?
But if you sign both of these, that's the.
Oh, one for the
Yeah.
council,
Yeah,
okay.
joint one.
So the March 1st, there's two to sign, one for our book, one for the commissioner's book, which is Dale and Jim Lee. Review and acknowledge the treasurer's bank reconciliation and monthly comparison report of funds. Everyone had a chance to review those. I'm going to acknowledge those. Friendly, second. Okay. All those in favor? Did we get everyone's reported collections?
Yeah, the ones that are listed there, yes.
Okay.
In the email.
Okay. Do that right there. Public hearing, additional appropriations. We'll open open that now for public comment. 9:05. Is there any public comment for the additional appropriations? Okay, hearing none, we'll close it. Okay, seated, resolution 2021-5, Commissioners capital outlay, $400,000 to cover the cost of the lease and purchase of equipment for the Crown County Highway Department. Is there a motion to approve that resolution? Second, Jim Lee. All those in favor? Resolution 2021-6, Human Capital Development Ambulance, additional to cover the purchase of the ambulance, $32,000 out of automobiles, $178,000 out of capital outlay. Is there a motion to approve that total $210,000? Then Lee, Tom, second. All those in favor? 7-0.
You take that out of my way.
Okay, we'll suspend the rules.
Right.
The Cume Bridge ordinance, that is done by the commissioners. The voting machine and the Cume Capital Development. The voting machine.
We didn't do it because we weren't changing anything.
Oh,
We didn't have to
we
do
don't
it.
have to,
Mm-mm, That's what
Just
my
leave it the same.
ULGF rep said.
okay. So the voting machine tax rate is going to stay the same, but we don't have to do anything for that. Human capital development. What did we do?
Basically, the resolution on the human capital development just says won't raise it higher than 0.0333. Which, and they said if you wanted to pass it down at budget time, if you want to go lower, we'll just change it up to, that's an option unless you
Okay,
definitely want to do it.
okay, yeah, because we have to turn that into the state. So the recommendation is that on the human capital development, that we set it at 0.0333. And then when we do our budget, we can lower that. What we did last time was we lowered the health department since they have such a healthy fund and raised our county general. So the recommendation is that we use that rate of 0.0333 on the human capital development, and then we can change it when we do budget time. So is there a motion to approve that?
Yeah.
Okay, Tom, second. Okay. All those in favor?
Dudley, can I ask something? It's my understanding, in calling too, that they wanted both council to approve Cume Bridge and the Cume Capital Development and the commissioners as well. Is that correct? According to the ordinance and everything, I thought that's. what
Yes,
they had said.
CCD is, Kent said, Cume Capital Development was
Theirs, but they wanted them to approve both that plus the Cume Bridge.
well, the attorneys, he just made a resolution for the council, and then the commissioners have the other two funds.
Okay. I
With
just didn't want,
ordinances.
I didn't know if they went ahead and approved. your
They can go
Q3.
ahead and do the rate, but there's no prepared resolution or ordinance because you've got it.
Because when we went to .065 to do that .005 for the covered bridges, we didn't vote on that. Commissioners voted on that.
Right, well, and I guess from the email or something that I read, I guess I assumed that it meant that they wanted the council to approve Q Bridge as well to the max, but yes, we don't have the ordinance ready to be signed yet. So,
Yeah.
you guys have the Q capital.
See, Miranda, the DLGF rep, told me one thing, Kent disagreed with her and put it this way.
Okay,
Because he said it's better to do it this way, because they say, well, that wasn't right, and get
because then I
denied.
have to advertise ordinance.
Right.
And the resolution here to sign is only for the new capital development.
Yes, because I think the commissioners have to sign the agreement one.
Yes.
They wanted both of us to vote on. I haven't heard anything.
No,
Alex, do you prefer that we do the Q Bridge?
I'm okay with you.
I would say go ahead and do it.
And that way you guys can approve it and we can do it then.
overkill's better than underkill.
Myself.
Okay, so is there a motion to, what was the rate on it?
0.10.
Okay, 110 on the bridge and we adjusted at budget time. Because we've always done past tougher rates, which is same, but we just.
And I think that's what we're going to continue. I think the plan is we would like to raise Q Bridge just a little bit to, because we are pushing forward, and getting some bridges repaired, and maybe going through community crossing grants. So, you know, I will make sure there's funds in Q Bridge, you know, to do that.
Okay, so there's a motion to,
So we changed that. We would, just now.
well, yeah, I mean, we will set, that's what it can go up to, but we will set it in August and we will in the budget that we just. This is not setting in stone, but if we want to change those rates in August, we have to do it by April 30th. All those three funds, so. So the motion on the bridge? Yes.
Yeah, I'll make it.
Okay, second. B, all those in favor? Okay, Bob, you got anything? Yeah, Joe? Rusty? Commissioners?
Excuse me,
I-
for walking through.
I wish I didn't, but I do. Actually, this is a good thing.
I'm gonna let you take that and then. So I'll let you take the reins on this one.
So, Dudley, did you have a chance to share with everybody what I sent you? I'll bring everything. I have some critical documents. So,
No, after I saw the $30,000, like. When we bought it, the 8,500, asked to get some different quotes, and then we got 30,000 on it.
so there's more entailed to that though. So I know we're tired of talking about this. I'm tired of it. It's been an exhausting 3 months trying to come up with something. But I think we have finally kind of settled down on the right path. So the last time I was here, Amoresco had presented us with a master plan to go alongside their heating and cooling system. You know, their heating and cooling, the ideal scope of work is at 750 to 850,000 VRS system, along with the 8,500 master plan. And to us, that sounded pretty good without talking to other people. after the council, you guys had asked us to maybe reach out and see what else was out there. Arcturus had come up. These guys are crazy well known in the state of Indiana. They have resource after resource of historic county courthouses they have redone from Hosey County to Lawrence County. He has a whole list of them. And they do really valuable work specifically on historic courthouses and saving them and keeping that historic value, which I think is a must in our scenario. So they have proposed a couple of different scenarios. They have proposed an initiation plan that they get started with this master planning and combine not only a master plan. So Amoresco was basically doing a master plan and giving us the results, and then we would manage it from there on out, which is a great thing. And Arcturus is presenting that same thing along with some other features that come along with that. They're gonna come in, which was recommended, and interview each department and do an asset evaluation to be sure that our people are utilizing the space in this courthouse the way it should be. If people need moved, if something needs done, it would all happen during the construction stage. So they really split our courthouse up into a couple different phases. Phase one is really ready to go. They're ready to rock and roll, and that involves two separate contracts. One with Arcturus, for the $30,000 to get started on the overall master planning and the assets management, and a separate contract. So let me pause for a second. The second contract is with Amoresco. When we went to Arcturus and said, hey, this is what we're doing, our HVAC system in the courthouse is really getting to emergency state where we need to address it. Everybody's ready to go on it. Their initial response was there's only one company we would go with in your guys' courthouse, and it was Amoresco, which was great to hear that we had the right company in here from the get-go, and their plans are already set in stone. There wasn't a whole other company needed to go back and reevaluate everything. So Amoresco would have a separate contract, and they would work right alongside with Arcturus, which they do. They have done countless jobs together anyways. Arcturus would manage Amoresco, but it would be two separate contracts. So that's pretty much what they're presenting now. That would be ready to get going as soon as we give them the green light, and that involves the HVAC system too. Everybody agreed. We've had countless phone calls and set down meetings and thinking of the proper steps to get going. And I think everybody's biggest concern was when we do and how we do it. And Arcturus and Amoresco was both on the same page that they could start the master planning and the HVAC renovation simultaneously and get those both rolling to get that part done. And that would be phase one. And then we could look at phase two at the overall spectrum once they got that master plan done. So I know there's going to be questions, so I'll do what I can to help. So the 30,000 is more than 8,500, but they are doing a much more in-depth scope when it comes to the asset management and really evaluating things. We kind of knew from the get-go that 8,500 from Amoresco was going to be a low number. In my head, just from the contractor world, it was going to be their loss leader, we call it, because they wanted the HVAC system. Because they're getting both projects, they could have done that initial part for less money. So the 30,000 is higher than 85, but it's not apples to apples. Arcturus is going to do a lot more in-depth asset management with the people and utilizing the space, I guess, opposed to just giving us a list of things saying your windows need replaced in 10 years. Yeah, you can.
And also, when you were talking about the asset management plan, this is gonna help the auditor on when she does her annual report. The state board of accounts is very adamant about getting something in there. And starting out getting this asset management plan is well over $30,000 for some of these counties just for that. You know, so we're getting a whole lot more, I think, for the county that will benefit, you know, in future. See, we've never had really a base plan of what we got. where we need to go. And I think this is gonna
We talked to
be
a
a
couple
tool
of
for the
other counties too that use Architura, and Michael Conley specifically. And you can talk to pretty much anyone across the state, and they will tell you in the historic world, in the poorhouse world, Michael Conley is who you want on your team when it comes to historic poorhouses and keeping that aesthetics and keeping that up to date. He will take anything. He came in here and saw these murals, and some of us cringe when we think about trying to save them during construction, and he was all about it. You know, he was like, we can't touch these. And I'm like, you're exactly right, like, we can't touch them. We've got to do everything in our, scope of work here to save them. And he was totally on board. He appreciated them more than probably most people even
And
look at them.
he did look at the Century Roofing, did question why things were done a certain way. He wasn't real thrilled with how it turned out.
Yeah.
He kind of had some suggestions there too, didn't he?
Yeah. And he would follow through with all that as they put together that master plan. That would be some of the results, and we could see some of the recommendations from there. So, Dudley, I don't know if we want to even get into this topic at the moment about expenditures and its HVAC and ARP at the moment, but in my mind, that's where 90% of this project comes from at the moment, because it fits into that scope very precisely.
Andrew, would you say that again? I couldn't quite hear. Would you repeat what you said?
Yeah, so the ARP money coming, that's what
I just couldn't hear that part.
yeah, the expenditures of that. So it could have been, this could be one of these things where it fell in line and we could use this money and not really use much of the appropriated money that's already in your budget, it would come out of this.
So what's this $150,000 to $200,000?
So that's something we need to talk to him about as he gets going. That to me would be phase 2 or 3, and that's the overall, once you get the HVAC done and they present the master planning, they would sit down with us for a base kind of renovation plan, whatever they would find.
Well,
And that's just-
it's HVAC design upgrade, so that, to me, it's gonna be part of an added cost for them to do this HVAC.
The HVAC, I'm not sure how it has it.
The coordination with HVAC design upgrades by Amoresco. So besides the $30,000 for the master plan, they're gonna charge us $150,000 to $200,000 to do this plan for the.
It was under my impression that's a totally separate phase after the master plan came out. And the HVAC system's already designed through Amoresco. I'll verify that for sure, but
I mean, that's a big question I've got, is what this $150,000 to $200,000 for, when it says coordination with HVAC design.
so I think they would coordinate the future renovation, whatever they would find, around what the HVAC had done. It was my impression. My impression was not that the 30,000 and the 150 come simultaneously. It was two separate contracts.
Go to page 2, and then in the summary, they're listed as separate for the drawing, bidding, and oversight of the construction and all that. So that's 150 to 200,000.
Yeah, so I mean, that's
There's no work done in that.
That takes,
coordinating the HVAC system.
I think they take, so the HVAC and master plan happen together, okay? And then once they have the results from their master plan from Architura, they would come back to us and say, your windows, your walls, your roof, whatever they may come up with, they would sit down and then put a package together through an architect process and basically have blueprints and scope that all out for a renovation process. But I'll verify for sure.
It sounds like that's an administrative fee on their end to do, is that the way you guys look at it?
The 150,
Yeah,
Well,
They wanna just,
That
yeah, they
is
oversee.
oversight
Yeah.
of the HVAC program, they're gonna charge us for that.
Yeah, I'll verify that.
Is there any way that you can address the HVAC without going through all this other process?
Yeah,
I mean, just focus on it, so, and, because we've been talking about upgrading HVAC here in this building for quite a while, and the boilers
yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah, that initial, bid from Amoresco was, I think, over a year ago. Last October.
And I'm probably asking some dumb questions, I've been on the
No.
Zoom, so I
No,
can't answer everything.
No, I mean, that is true. I mean, that was the first attempt was to bring that, to the council commissioners. But then, the more we got talking, it's like, we really need a master plan, in here because we're just, as Andrew would say, throwing darts, well, let's do this, and then you're jumping over here. And, if you have something in place, you're gonna know, and then you can say, you know what, this really is not priority right now. Let's put this one on hold. We got some issues over here. So you can see everything, just at a glance.
Have you done any research about Cartograph? That's the program Tippecanoe County does with all their programs, their buildings, and they have even a filter that's put in the furnace is put into that program, and they can keep track of everything in their county. They also use TechCon for
construction management.
Yes. Mhm. I mean, we get a quote from them, see what. I mean, we asked for some more quotes, and I mean, we just get one. We saw something that's gonna be advertised for any company to come in, and is that and just shoveled aside, or what have we done with that?
So that quote there was for the request for quoting, on behalf of the HVAC system. So
No, I thought it was for a building plan, and that what we saw was.
it was a master plan. It was a
Yeah.
HVAC and master plan put together. So, one end of your table, you're asking, well, forget the master plan, we'll go with the HVAC system alone. We're really pushing to get the master plan done, because we have to do that. I mean, I don't know how we've gotten along this far with something not crazy happening, opposed to just, big things coming up that we're not knowing and not anticipating. If we want to send it out to public bid, I think we can do that. It'll be a timely process. It'll be, 30, 60 days to get it made, and then you're gonna have another 30, 60 days in public, and, you're another 4 months, 5 months down the road before you have probably the same result we have now. If that's the process we want to go, I'm happy to start that process.
I mean, isn't that what we talked about last month is getting that?
Well, this thing, I mean, I'm all for moving forward, of course, but this, I mean, at the end of this, it even says about changing the location of our EMS center, stuff like that. Well, if that's the intent of the master plan, then we need to bring that in just a little bit.
It says what now?
Well, one of the emails here at the end, Michael Connolly, to you says other phases of the planning would address the review of county facilities with recommendations for use of the old jail, possible location of the EMS center, recommendations for.
It was-
Say that.
It was EMS, he was opposing the 911, is what he's addressing.
Okay.
Not,
911, not them. And I think he's just trying to take everything
Okay,
in a
well,
picture, like, is the assessor office in the right room? Do they need to be, maybe over here? I mean, I think he's looking at all that, is he not?
yeah, that was part of
So,
his
yeah,
asset
that should be
management.
911, because we do know that they're out of room,
I understand
and,
that, but,
and he's,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't
It
EMS.
says relocation of EMS. I'm thinking,
yeah, he's
Yeah.
just sitting here as the
We
911.
can, let's keep a little bit of room to see.
Yeah,
the process.
yeah, no.
No,
And,
it wasn't that.
yeah, and it looks like that duplication of 30 and 150,
Yeah, they
200 is
sent
pretty
everybody
much.
an email.
I mean, we're paying for duplication of services a little bit, we have to.
Yeah, I think the 150, I'll verify, it's fine.
Yeah, so I mean, are you okay with it if the 150 is not if it's a duplication, then are you okay with it? With the two companies working together, so then we're getting our master plan, but we're also, Ameresco is gonna be basically the HVAC. Because originally, I think Ameresco had a master plan that was a lot less, but they were offering a lot less too.
I think with Amoresco, it was going to be more our own management. They were going to
Yes.
design the plan, but we were going to control it
Yes.
through the software.
And I think with this other, he's,
So if it's a matter of, do you want to lose a little bit more control, then it sounds like Arcturus is the company that's going to allow you to do that versus Amoresco, who's going to allow you to have a little more control over.
I think once they present you with the master plan, that asset management, it would still be in your control of updating that. If you put a filter in
I
the
think it's
view.
gonna be our control.
Yeah,
Because even though they say, hey, this is what we think your priorities are, we may agree with them, but then we may be able to say, you know what, at this time, I think we need to hold off on this. And, and that can certainly be discussed and we can come up with a solution that would satisfy all.
What about annual fees?
he didn't describe any annual fees. And once he gave it to us, and it was a done deal.
It's gonna be capped up every year, and is there gonna be a fee for that? We need to know that.
Yeah.
Did we have an annual fee figure with Amoresco when they did their?
Yes, there was, 2,500.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Andrew, this proposal for the heating system and the asset planner that we were part of.
Yep.
And this company here,
Mhm.
is that all in that master plan one? Was this
Yeah.
all considered into that master plan?
Yeah, so the one that you have is from Amoresco, the one on your right-hand side is all included in that phase one, the 30,000, plus some additional features that came along with it. So yes.
And then another thing that we talked about on the heating system was, were we supposed to have Scott come in here and talk to us about his thought on our boilers?
That was between you guys and Rick. Rick said you wanted Scott to come in to you guys.
I called Scott, and he was, told me, he was told not to bring it in. That's all I know.
He was told what?
Not to bring it in. Proposed it.
Not to bring a opinion since our last meeting, and we
I
talked
actually
specifically about that.
Scott to bring a bid in. I told him, make sure you get a bid in for this meeting. He said, well, I was told not to bring it in. Said,
So who told him that?
I don't know, you can ask Scott.
Well, Scott just completed a project here at our med shed and completed the series and got it working. Is that correct, Mark?
Yes.
And that the commissioner just okayed a thermometer for each bay. And that was supposed to help with our heating system there. I talked with Martha, written up some things of what I had looked at and what we had talked about. And apparently what I understood from the last commissioner meeting, or our meeting, that was completed and that was working fine. And I thought that Scott then was supposed to come in and talk to us about the efficiency of our boilers.
That's correct.
And
The
that's
best
what-
way, he talked to Scott, I talked to Scott 3 or 4 times. He was told not to do it.
I'm not sure where that would come from.
But you can call Scott, he'll take it. I'm just trying to stay out of it.
And I
That's it,
say,
you know,
I know.
well,
We'll call him, find
I
out.
know it's.
I get the understanding, but misunderstanding to what Ameresco is bringing. Ameresco is not doing the work. If we want Scott to do the work, that is our right to let him come in and bid. So we haven't even got to a point to even accept any bids from anyone to do any work, because we need to get the master plan thing going, in order to get to the next step and advertise to be receiving bids. And we're not there. We can't get there until we get this master plan, approved by the commissioners and the backing of the council to move forward so that we can get these other things done. I feel like we're at stalemate.
Brenda, I don't know, maybe I look at this differently, and I don't mean to go against any thoughts. We discussed this, before
Oh, yes.
2021.
Several times, yes.
And I could be beyond the master plan. I understand what you're doing. I'm understanding the longevity of looking into things. I don't know what your longevity is of a long-term plan. I don't know what those years are, except what I read in here, a 30-year plan.
Sure.
I also got a red flag when I saw software that we're gonna pay $2,500 a year for. Now, I know maybe that's not the case now, I don't know. But we were gonna pay up front $8,000 and $2,500 a year for a software plan that, and this is what I thought I read, that they would come in, Ameresco would come in, they would have a group come in each year, and they would suggest, and that's taking away, I kind of took that another way, that's taking away from maybe our thoughts, the individual thoughts of the people running those departments, bringing into us at budget time. So that's kind of the way I looked at that. And so when I first saw your plan this morning, I wondered, do we still have the same thoughts on this furnace? And we're supposed to have Scott in here to give us an idea, regardless of the master plan, to kick this in gear and get it done before next fall and complete it. So we got a better idea. This master plan is after the fact. We are looking at a heating system. This is after the fact. I will be with you. So let's get this furnace kicked in gear and get some answers. And Scott was one of the guys who was going to bring in an answer for us, or bring in a suggestion, so that maybe we could get things going, and maybe this master plan and be kicked in gear, and depending on price, and depending on who could bring us a better price, maybe a better thought, and maybe this is the best thought. But we don't know that until, as Dudley said, maybe we need another thought or two from somebody else. I think that's all Dudley's saying, isn't that right, Dudley? Just to find out where we are.
And Tom, you say that, but I guess how I understood when they talked to us about the master plan, you get your master plan first, and then you decide what kind of heating. Now, and we've been looking at it the other way around, and I understand, because that's just how we've always done things. We've never had a master plan, so it's just something that is gonna be new for all of us. And it's their recommendation. A lot of times they're making that recommendation, but they're not gonna do the actual work. We're gonna if we like Scott Williams' work, we're certainly gonna reach out to him and say, hey, I want you to put a bid in because I like what you do, for the county. I like your work, et cetera, et cetera.
I understand.
And that's I guess that's how I look at it. I'm looking at the opposite.
So, Let's switch gears a little bit, because the master planning has been a hiccup from the get-go. I almost scratched that idea. It's not gonna work right now. Are you guys more willing to get started on the HVAC system then? Forget the master plan. I'll deal with that later. I can see the master planning isn't settling anybody's thought process here.
The master plan is gonna tell us we need a new HVAC system, heating system. So we don't, we need to take care of that system, I think, first, and then look at some other ideas for master plans.
And
But also it's gonna get an asset management information for the auditor that she desperately needs for state board of accounts, annual reporting. We don't have that. When I reach out to these other auditors in the past, you know, they have a certain company and they provide the values of all their buildings and everything, and we're gonna be getting that information with master plan. And I don't think we're really looking at that aspect of it. We're just looking at, well, okay, so they're gonna tell us what we need to do with our buildings. You can't look at it just like that. It's offering so much more that we're not used to having that information right at our fingertips. And that is what it's come to be. Reporting, Colleen could probably vouch, it's just so different than what it was 16 years ago. It's like you have to be an accountant. We don't have the knowledge of putting some of this stuff together. None of us do unless we have some degree. And I think that's where the frustration is, because we don't know what to do first. And I would hope that I could trust, you know, some individuals, you know, they have a reputation to get us on the right track. And if they were in our shoes, they're gonna say, if I was you, I would do this. How
So,
would you do it?
yeah, you know, also, yeah, that's a great point on that, but like for Scott Williams, for instance, Amoresco, we told them that Scott would be our first pick to go get prices from on their system. So I don't want Scott to feel like he's being left out. He's not. The prints are gonna be handed to him where he doesn't have to design anything. It's already designed. We need a price on this, please. It's just the process to get there, I guess. So that's why I don't want Scott to feel like he's being left out, because he's not. In any stretch of imagination. He's our first pick. He's been here from the get-go. He does everything for us.
We used to ask for him, and it just didn't come through. That's my argument, my.
Yeah, I thought he was coming to you guys directly.
And I understand, you know, on this forecasting, this stuff is small, but I got a magnifying glass out yesterday and went through this. But I like to say that if you go through there line by line, some of them, I don't know what they are. And I don't know whether they affect our heating system or whether it's some building over here someplace else. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
But if you go through there are highs and lows, and then there's a graph, and this graph is red and green and yellow. And when you look at that other graph at the end, where are we in percentages right now in 2021? We are right on the line to start this activity. That's how they suggested that. But if you turn around and look at this pretty close, there'll be yes and no's through there. And some of those yes and no's pertain directly right to our heating and cooling system. So there's kind of a contradiction if we talk about a master plan and where these go. I think that they're online. I think that's what they'd like for us to do. But we're saying we can't do that because, first of all, we've got to approve that master plan. And it gets approved here in April, or maybe it won't get approved. But we know, all the guys sitting around this table, as well as the commissioners, know that come October, we got a furnace that's going to be turned on, and in July, an air conditioning system, because the guy that would not touch these murals knew that, and I heard 12 years ago from somebody out in Indianapolis, and Andrew, I can't tell you that, but he said that we need an adequate air conditioning system and a heating system because of all the humidity. And I think we're dragging our feet on this. And I think that master plan and DLGF, and I would like to know, DLGF, if we don't spend $30,000 to provide a master plan, how is that going to affect our DLGF budget time come July? How's that going to affect our decision in the state of Indiana, DLGF, Fountain County, Indiana, on our budget? I'd just like to know, like, I'd just like to know how that's going to affect it.
Depending on your fund and what you spend it out of, you know, if we got a healthy fund, it's not gonna impact it at all. You know, but you don't know that, we don't know that. And that's where, you know, the ARP money that's coming in, you know, this is our opportunity to not use all of our funds and use this because it can only be used for certain things. And, it's gonna benefit the county. If we don't spend it,
But we can't spend that on capital for the courthouse.
the air and
We
stuff.
can only can spend that money, the 3.1 million, for water projects, sewer projects, broadband. That's the only capital development money you can use that for.
And they're very loose on like, they put down their infrastructure and stuff, but then when you start questioning, and that's where I said they're gonna be very tight at the very beginning. But there towards the end, they might do
And
something, we don't know.
They might, but we also will have federal auditors in here, and any money we spend that's not what they said we can spend it on, we have to pay it back to the feds.
But regardless, the air quality has been an issue here at the courthouse. And by redoing the air and the heating, and then getting some fresh air in here, you know, it's gonna be a plus, you know, for the courthouse.
Okay, I'm just gonna say my piece. I don't know Scott Williams. I wouldn't know if he walked up to me and talked to me. I don't know that he is the one for this job. Because he has not come in here to give us anything, not even to talk to us about what's happening. And that's,
Well, so
to me,
maybe-
that, I'm not throwing him under the bus, but that's disappointing to me.
Maybe to Scott's offense, so maybe he thought that wasn't, well, I mean, we need to talk to Scott to get, I don't
I'm
know.
just gonna call it.
I don't want-
Noticing and asking who's.
Because Scott's a nice guy, Scott's very knowledgeable, I don't want Scott to be thrown under the bus, because if he had the impression that he didn't need to be here, then he wouldn't have come. You know, that's,
You were talking about what this gentleman said 12 years ago, that we need to protect the murals, and we needed a system that equalizes the
That's
heating and temperature and the cooling temperature in this courthouse. Is Scott capable of doing that job?
I think what you're asking, Kelly, is that, what we have, and Scott has done some things here before. I think he's helped the medical building over there. That's what we referred to, and he had some ideas about this boiler system. Right, Rick?
Right.
And so that's how he came into the plan, okay? Whether he's able to do this long thing about our heating system, that's what we gotta get to find out.
Right, that's, and
I guess, honestly, even Reynolds came in here. I don't care who does the job, okay? We've been talking about this for 4 years, basically. Reynolds, Scott, other company, and they can all do the same job. Reynolds told me he could do the exact thing Scott does. Scott can say he can do the same thing as other companies. If you want to do it all, yeah, they'll be more happy to do it. All for you.
Reynolds was more on track with the VRF system.
Reynolds said he could do that.
He agreed with that. I think Scott was more on board with the boiler system.
I think
Which-
you're right there, Andrew.
I-
I think Scott's opinion. I
I-
think Scott thinks the boiler.
Yep,
And I think,
Right, you're right on. I guess Scott, he thinks that other system's good. He believes the boiler system runs good. $100 a day to heat, not much upkeep, keep that.
Yep.
Basically, that's what he wants. And I think he was in the bid to do all the air conditioners, everything, if that's your plan. That depends what you guys want. to do.
yeah, no, I agree. So no matter what, we need to look at heating and air combined. And Rick's exactly right. Rick brought it to our meeting that there was issues upstairs. And Amoresco, the VRF, whatever you want to call it, addresses both. It would address both. But I guess just to be clear one more time, they would reach out to Scott with their system for pricing.
You know what, I think really everybody needs to do, I will have you people see the courthouse, okay? Take a little curve, I can show you stuff for open your eye. We can start with the roof and walk right on down. I can show you some major problems.
The Century report, Rick, that was eye-opening.
Yeah, I know, it blew my mind. I'm 5 years old, they put 18 patches on this roof 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I came in, it's 5 years old, it's done in the morning. I can take you on the roof right now, and you can walk over air blade from the roof going. Right
And see, and that's where I found through the years, there's been flaws, you get a new elevator, and then Tyson Cruft, they're like, oh, we forgot to give you the information for getting on a maintenance plan, Century. Well, you haven't been doing maintenance. Well,
Did anybody know about it?
no one presented us with anything to do with maintenance, so, you know, those are some things, you know, that has happened, you know, in the past.
I'm fine with dropping the master plan now. We can address that after we get the HVAC. The plan was to do them at the same time. We don't need the master plan to start in the HVAC. They would happen together. But I'm okay with waiting, if that satisfies you, because I do know the HVAC is important and ready to get going.
Andrew, are these, and Brenda, are these still in the plan? This is alternative A, B, and C on the heating and cooling. Are they still in the talk?
I believe so, if we want to pursue that.
C would be the option that they kind of were pushing for. But yes, that's what, when I refer to industrial, I'm referring to that C. That option C is what I'm referring to.
And then they would just be in charge of, you know, getting the bids and everything, the information, you know, whether it be Reynolds, Scott, whoever.
And option C addresses heating and air. It's combined, it's both systems.
My suggestion is, once you get hold of Reynolds, get hold of Scott, get hold of this other company, get a bid on boilers, air, and that other unit, and then they want to take it. And everybody does what they want. But Tom's right. It's summertime. They're running right now, airs, but who knows? Winter be here before you know it. We're been limping one boiler for 6 months right now. Which, you know, I'm not grabbing the job, I love the job. I come here on the weekends, I check the water, make sure it didn't leak in yesterday for the rains, everything was good. But I'm not a realtor, but I'm really concerned about this. Why would we have to put 18 patches on a five-year-old road? Okay? That makes sense to me. You know?
And that doesn't even include, Rick, the coping part.
Yeah, I don't know. Andrew and Brenda got a really good idea, but it's just, I don't know where to start. I don't know anybody does. Something's going to be done.
It's kind of gone back and
Yeah,
forth
oh,
too.
yeah.
It's this person's fault, it's this person's fault. They didn't do this, well, they didn't do that. Well, I don't care who did what, but we just gotta get it fixed.
I don't know. We're getting rid of it.
I think so, we need a quote on the boiler.
Yeah. You call Scott. He'll tell you.
I think you
I'll
call Scott,
You
find
bet.
out why he didn't come.
Like,
We
get
told
him
him
on
not to.
I'll talk to him and see if we can kind of heal up this stuff, these wounds.
I think Scott had a plan for the boiler, didn't
Yeah.
He's supposed to have one, but I think he was told not to send me anything. That's all I know.
I don't.
He did have a plan.
Is it?
What do you know about it?
What do you know about it?
I'm just gonna tell you that Scott has helped us out tremendously. If it wasn't for him, our jail wouldn't be open today
Absolutely.
for cleaning up Glasgow's mess. So,
Okay, well, Tom's gonna call him, go get to the bottom of it, and find out why he wasn't here.
We gotta get this behind us.
Yeah.
Even if it's one time, we gotta get
Yeah.
the boiler started and
Jim,
put it on the roof.
What's that?
It's gonna have to take it to the winter.
Jim,
We're gonna have to do stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
If we got extra money, we'll have to get one.
It really is.
Well, with this, and the only thing I said to Tom, and I don't know if this is factually, the federal government is throwing out all kinds of our money on schools and all different kinds of facilities, wanting them to upgrade their HVA systems. And you gotta make sure you got the hardware down the road to be able to repair what you have. And I don't know if there's gonna be a shortage of that or not. I'm not telling you there is going to be. But, I think you gotta keep that in mind.
So what prompted, I just said, yeah, I think when I talked to Scott, or, you know, let's get this before a month. Let's get some information back to you as quick as we can, as efficient as we can. and then see where we go, and get some things on the table so we can make a decision. Okay.
So you guys are gonna reach out to Scott.
I will call Scott today.
Perfect. And we're just gonna wait to hear back then? We don't wanna reach out to,
If, with the council's approval, I will call Scott today, and as soon as I find out information, I'll call Brenda or you, or Dudley, or whoever. I'll probably call Dudley and he can relay it, okay? How's that? Good enough? I'll do the best I can.
I think that's good. I'm not sure we're in the chain of command to do that, are we, the council? It should be the commissioners.
I mean,
If you like to call Scott,
no, Tom, I think, in your mind, you probably need to talk to Scott. But I think we want Scott or else Reynolds, to give us a bid, but we've reached out to Maresco or Shura to give us what do we need, and so we're kind of relying on them instead of one of us saying, I think this is what I need, we need your courthouse, what do you think? We're wanting a company in here to help guide us on the plan of what we need to do. They're not necessarily gonna be doing the work, we're gonna get bids, they're gonna kind of oversee it, so that we're not spending all of our hours overseeing a plan for the courthouse, the ambulance, the jail, whatever.
and they design it for these guys, so they have the prints, they have it.
So then they
ready
just
to
hand it
go.
off, and it's like, here, give me a price of what you can do this job for. Because this is what I think this building needs.
But Amoresco didn't give us a plan to replace the boilers. Correct?
They did.
Yes,
That's
I mean,
one of your
Tom has
alternatives.
It's one
a
of
A, B, and
the three.
C.
It's one of the three.
Yeah, it was one of the three plans.
But I think the one that addressed the boilers maybe did not address the air. You have to pay attention to that. There was something about that.
One of them included the air and one did not. They went overkill for that 2 million thing because they knew we weren't gonna be going for that. So if you want more, controlled heating within each department, like the RF system or something, that was their recommendation, Some of you agreed with it, and some did not. Scott has his take, what Reynolds had their take. So we gotta decide which one we wanna go with, so there's your 2 bids. Without the bids actually given.
The selling tactic on the VRF, everybody states, is it's more control. You can zone exactly the rooms, you can pinpoint it, you can heat it, you can cool it exactly the way you should be able to, opposed to what we have now.
That's good, that's a really good point right there. But, like I say, everybody needs to talk to the guys, how they're gonna run all these lines through these walls. Well, I don't know that much about it. Sounds like it's a really good deal. Separate room, controlling this and that. I think it's brilliant. But I don't know, I heard these lines are gonna get a lot of calls, but I don't know. Personally, I don't know. That's just a pure statement. I think it's a really big deal. Really confusing, really,
Just real quick, that's how it is at the jail. I can actually bring it on my computer and pinpoint what room I want to heat or cool off, or to shut off altogether. We've not had a really major problem with it. 'Cause I think it's one of the things you may want to look at. So like Greg, when somebody told Rick says, they are room's way too hot, he can just pinpoint that room only. But that's up to you guys. Like I said, it's working pretty well for that's jail.
Each room separate on, being able to look on anybody's phone and taking control of every room. Monitor,
All the new schools,
it's all that way now.
Yes.
So
Every new system that's installed today is a VRF system.
I think the thing that's holding us back on this is the 2 figures you see right here. The 30,000 for one thing and then 150 to 200 on the other for really not building anything.
I don't know if that's really the case, I mean, Tom, I don't think those guys are sold on the master plan. on that.
Well, yeah. Well, I think we need some kind of long-range plan, yeah. But I just want to make sure I don't do the master plan and the HVAC and the courthouse simultaneously.
Yeah,
I'm just concerned about getting things done in the courthouse, I think.
yeah.
So Amoroso has given us something on the HVAC.
Yes.
correct?
I mean, it was
A
presented,
recommendation.
yeah, last year sometime. Yep. They gave, everybody 3 options, kind of a crazy high goal number to rip out everything and start fresh, maybe a new boiler system and a new VRF system that addressed both. It was kind of the happy medium of everything.
Does that give us a cost on what it would be for VRF versus boiler?
The VRF was $750 to $850, and the boiler was $300.
So like the one.
And then the overall was like 1.2.
Almost 2 million for the fancy.
Right.
But the boiler, did it include the air and everything, or was it just heat?
The boiler from them was just heat.
And the VRF would address both?
It was just-
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, is that it was a lot less money, but then you have to counter in the fact that our cooling system isn't that desperate need of repair too, so then you gotta add that on top of that. I'm sure you're getting, Rick had brought us a quote from Scott for $100-some thousand for some rooftop units.
In today's world, the VRF is the best way to go because that heats and cools with the same system.
It's really not even a question.
And that's what the school do. They got chillers that run the cool water through and the heat exchangers.
Everyone will tell you to get rid of the boilers, it's a lot of water, a lot of moisture, it's just a lot of long-term problems that could go wrong.
And this would be the best system for the murals and everything too, for the community, because that monitors that also.
Yep.
If it needs heat, it gives it heat or whatever to take the heat and moisture out.
Yep.
Right. I mean,
It creates the equalization.
The first meeting we had with him, but he stopped to think every schoolroom and every janitor closet's got its own separate control for the heat in that little room. And I mean, that's the way we're gonna have to go. I'm old enough, I gotta resign myself to that fact. And if our county's got some funds to make this happen now, I mean, every day goes by, the stuff's peeling and the roof's leaking and the chimney's still gotta come down. I think we gotta start someplace.
Does that 800,000 include taking the chimney down?
I'm not sure if that was included or not. That was their original, I wasn't around when they
See,
quoted that,
I
so.
mean, you still gotta mitigate all the moisture in that brick and all that
So,
masonry, that may be a whole different
Exactly.
ball. I mean,
I would,
I just don't want this thing to get away from us,
I would
and we can't afford to do.
I would assume that was addressed.
That's all our fear, let me speak for all of us when I say that.
The VRF system uses a different fluid than the boiler does. I'm sure they had that addressed somewhere in that system, just from a schematic standpoint. But I
I
can,
mean, we're all in agreement, we've got to get something done, we just want to make sure that we have all the figures, all the different options in front of us before we appropriate that kind of money.
right,
And I'm not opposed to a master plan, don't misunderstand me there, but I'm just concerned about things that need to be done to make sure this building is, taken care of.
If the chimney needs to come down and keep the moisture from coming in, then it needs to be part of an initial project.
so I think the chimney is determined on what system you go with. The chimney is needed in a boiler system, it may need to be repaired, but it's still needed. In the VRF system, I'm not for this.
Yeah, you're right, Andrew. If you go with your system, you're not gonna need the chimney period. Maybe put the boilers, maybe something with the chimney.
Right,
So that's an added cost then on top of $300,000 to $400,000.
I would assume, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
what
I
was-
bet it wasn't included.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a road.
That's
Yeah.
disappointing, for 5 years and
Yeah.
you have all those patches, that's.
And they didn't put around where the walls come up, they did not seal that around there, and that
So
should have been done.
I talked to
And that's-
Sentry,
Frustrating.
Yeah.
I called Sentry that day that Rick was having all the problems just to get their thought process, and I said, guys, what's going on here? And he explained, and once I saw the picture that helped me understand what was happening, but I asked the same thing, I said, why was that roof not capped from the get-go? And he explained that in a historic courthouse, they typically would never, where they stopped is like where the old roof stops. And that's a very typical place, because once they wrap it, they've got to come over the top, and he said you can see it from the external of the courthouse. When you look up, you can see our white cap around the brim. He said typically we don't ever go up and over that because people don't want to see that white cap. He said it is obviously a place for leaks. The roof wraps up, it comes back the wall, and it stops. So there's a bare edge right there. The silicone that was up there was old, it was crazy old. And I'm not sure if they peeled it all off, but they put a substantial amount of silicone on that lead, but it will need routine maintenance on it now to keep it clean. I don't know, Rick, that is.
I think they did a really good job, but it still blows my mind. I can't believe all that water. Way that rust bubble, okay, it bubbled now. You gotta get my home after 30 years. Okay. I said, I've never wet in the rain, it was passionate in the rain, he done a really good job. Scott was if you think. And I said, man, I like to go back to wet under there, and the kid said, I said, well, cut the damn thing. I wanna see if it's wet. With their patches in it, okay? So they split
He
it.
came, he left and then he came back.
He gets under there and underneath the roof is completely soaked. Okay. Now, they're gonna come back in 6 weeks, it's a really good idea to take the floors in. But to me, the damage is done. You know what I mean? If it's bubbled up like this, maybe it's fine. I don't know. I didn't spend $100,000 to stay fine, but you might. But maybe it's fine, it might be great. I don't know. But they did, Andrew, I let him go, he can get into a lot more.
They did nice, I mean, for what they did a nice job. The bill was not near what I expected it to be. I did ask him also about what Rick's concern was about the inflating of the roof. And just as Rick has stated, HVAC guys blames it on the roofing guys, and the roofing guys blames it on HVAC. He claimed that when he was on the roof, the big air handler, once it was kicked on, he could see the waffling of the roof. He thought there was an air leak in that portion. He says it's not hurting the roof, that roof's meant to have some, expanding contraction, and he wasn't concerned about it. He said he was more concerned about the efficiency of the HVAC system than his roof.
Where's the water going, Rick?
Well, what I don't know, Matt, underneath the white cars, okay? Somehow the water's got in underneath of it. Like I say, they totally lost. I couldn't even count them all. But they just didn't patch here. There's patches. It started over here, a little bubble, a year ago, okay? This is just, anyhow, now we got blow up places over here, and over here. So we passed all the way over here on the seams. We passed over here on the seams. We passed over here on the seams. Everywhere. The only place that's fire not really blowing up much is on the north side and the south side. But completely across is blowing up. I can step on it, and maybe it don't hurt it, but it's just like a balloon, like you said. We put a brick on it to hold it down in one place. A big, 50-pound block. You know, I just,
That day I was up for, I don't understand.
you know what I'm talking about,
There's
Jim.
an error gap in Clem.
I've always said,
Something's not put together up there, and I don't know how it's, from the rooftop to inside the building and get under the roof. There's something.
I still say, I'm not blaming Scott, broken people, I still think we need a camera, put a camera through the ductwork and see what the problem is.
But for that roof to have air underneath.
It don't make sense.
Air where it's not,
I don't know.
something's not.
Now, Scott won't agree with that. He don't think it's routine. But I think all we're gonna find out is no cameras. Andrew's right, they're blaming each other. But I still go back to working people, you shouldn't have to put empty packets.
It's a closed system.
Yeah,
Something's gotta be.
Yeah, somewhere.
Leaking somewhere to pressurize something that's not a part of it at all.
The roof is not sliding.
If it's alive, it goes to the furnace company.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I didn't have them cut it, because I was concerned to see how it, and it was definitely. Now, maybe with the air blowing in underneath there, it's probably is dry. For dry, yeah, I think it
Should be.
should be.
We know.
Anyhow.
Kelly's been saying.
I'm not totally against the master plan. 30 years ago, I like to have a little community work on that. And I understand from this, all roads down. That's flags and green and all this. I just kind of like to see something. Stay on top of some people, a little quicker than that. So I'm not a little plan that.
Yeah, just to, on top of something, I'm not an HVAC guy or that. So, but I want to know if we go with this master plan and spend money on the master plan, where's the money coming? Out of what account or is there?
Well, we have to appropriate it, we have to find,
We're not getting any grants or anything, and everything. Okay, it'll have to come out of our own appropriation. Okay, that's what I want to make sure it's clear.
like I said, on this $3.1 million, that is part of the 1.9 trillion that has to come. We can use it to replace any money that we are shorted from because of COVID. So there's a formula we got to take more account of. We have to compare 2019 to 2020 and it tells how much of that money we can use. We can also use it to bonuses for essential workers, and it's got to be either federal guidelines, state or essential workers. We can use it for three different projects, like I said, water, sewer, or broadband. And we can also use it to help businesses or nonprofits who come to us and say, we are shorted money because of COVID, and they have to show proof of that, which has to meet federal guidelines. Now that is, I met with one of the Tippecanoe County Commissioners the other day, and they hired an attorney that's told them this is what they're saying. Now, the rules may change, but right now, and we are audited by the federal government, and any money that we spend that is not what they say is meets those guidelines, and we have to pay back to the federal government. We get half the check May 10th or
May 11th.
May 11th, we'll get half of that money, and then they have a year from until December 22nd, we'll get the other half. Those are the guidelines of what
And
can be used on the courthouse, can be used for.
if we don't expend that money on COVID-related issues,
Then it goes back to. And you know, last time, that money, they came back and changed at the last minute that we can use it for payroll for such and such date, which was able to use, put that money in the county general, but right now, there's no rules for that.
So, am I the Coast Guard?
We gotta move forward somewhere, I don't know whether it's Bob Scott or not at this point, but we need to move forward, and let the commissioners get some kind of plan moving. I don't know what that plan needs to be, but we've got to move on something.
And get on with God, get on with Reynolds, well,
How the master plan fits into this, the preliminary one, to get some of this stuff done, because we're gonna have to get rid of the chimney, we need to get the roof fixed, and we need to do the heating and air. Those are 4 projects I see that kind of gotta work together.
yeah.
So and I don't know who blends it together, is that what? Would Amoresco do that as part of their thing, as with just the heating and air
So
process, would they make sure that,
that's a point I
can we let them do that?
I've debated back and forth with myself a lot, is who has the better master planning ability? Does Amoresco, would they give us everything we needed, for a master plan? I think they do. Where, in my mind, Amoresco falls short on that aspect is the historic value of the inside and exterior of this courthouse, that I'm not sure we're willing to jeopardize. Some of that, that's where Mike Conley and Artura excels far beyond Amoresco's capability. Whether it's whatever it may be, to the historic value.
Well, can they work, can we work a deal with them so they do it for less than $200,000?
Well, so
To just consult
I will call Michael Conley right after we get out of here and to clarify that 150 and 30,000. And I'll.
Also, there's a yearly fee too.
Yeah, I'll get that.
I mean, if we can, you know, if you pare this down to kind of
Yeah,
fix this right now
right.
with the historic value involved, and we understand that, we don't want to get rid of it either.
Right.
Or we wouldn't be trying to save mural painting.
Correct, right.
So,
And I already included a new roof. I mean, just not taking in, but
What's that, Jim?
we included a new roof.
well, I don't know,
Good after.
if we can get the air from leaking out underneath it,
Maybe.
it'll be okay. So we need to look at.
So
How much damage is under there we don't see?
So I asked that question. I said, there's water that got down in there. Now what? And he said 2 scenarios. He comes back in 6 weeks and takes a core sample. That's the only scenario we need now. The results from that will produce 2 scenarios. A, the roof that they installed is a breathable roof. There's vents that it breathes. He said it's naturally supposed to, it will dry itself out if it's okay. If the core sample came back where there's still water standing, that's the alternative, where that roof has to come back off.
And at that point, what warranty do we have for their services?
We don't have any, right? So we,
Lack of maintenance is what they're gonna call it. The patching they cover, the leaking around that coping.
and why didn't they tell us any of
And
that?
I was just gonna ask you, did they even say anything at the time that,
Because I asked that also, and I'm like, did they do that silicone when they put the new roof on?
Well, that was the last two commissioners.
Right, but I mean, do we have any kind of contract or anything?
As far as I know.
So they didn't sign any contract?
You know, I blame this thing is done. Where they really think it's solved, leaking. Why don't we just cut a big seam out of it, the whole seam, and see how bad it is underneath? You know what I mean? It's just,
Well, they're gonna do that core sample.
yeah, they're gonna be able to tell for just one area.
On the, what was that, 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah,
right?
it wasn't for, you got right idea, of course, but still not showing what's underneath.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we wanna make sure it's not mold or anything.
I would take a big strip of it off and see,
yeah, 'cause we don't need white walls.
you know, and Jim tried to get, everybody, you have to rip that heat.
Thankfully, we have an opening in the front of it.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta put a little kid in there or somebody.
Yeah, yeah,
You can't just all that place over here.
I'll go up there.
But yeah,
There's somewhere you can get in there to see that.
that work, you could go in up here and see, but it could be, between the floors of the courthouse, I mean, there's ducks, now air handlers, I can still show you buckets from years ago, which it caught water. That's before the road was built.
Yeah, but there's things wrong that.
Yeah, I don't understand what it is, there's something, I don't, it blows my mind, I just try to do everything we can, do this and do that. I call Andrews, how, what's going on now? You know what I mean?
Greg, we really do appreciate it.
No,
It's not said enough, but we do appreciate it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just- I
Well,
don't know.
we gotta move forward.
I can get bid, first thing I get the roof bid.
We can't keep doing this.
And I get Reynolds, I get Scott, I get his company, all of them in there. Say just boiler, get all three of them put a boiler bid in, boiler and air.
Are you gonna have to reconstruct the, vent system in the courthouse too? Oh,
Now Reynolds told me, you can talk to Reynolds, Reynolds told me there was not an air problem in this courthouse. Personally, when he was here.
So why is it really going up when the,
I mean, front door issue, when you come in and stuff. But he didn't say nothing, Reynolds said that, he acted like there wasn't. So, who do you believe, you know what I mean?
Well, we gotta look at.
That, also that air handler wasn't working
Yeah.
when he was here, so,
Okay.
which is supposedly
It's
working.
supposed to be, it's working good now, but it's working with air, the road's coming up. And what's causing it, who knows?
So Andrew, if you do go over the long range plan, is this a company you're thinking about then? I mean, can we do some things simultaneously?
Yeah. Let me get a hold of Michael Conley first and verify that the 30,000 is isolated from the 150,000. And I'll get a yearly fee if there is any.
Because the long range plan, I'm not opposed to that, depending on kind of price, you know.
Yeah, if the alternative B to the 30,000 is Amoresco's plan, for just the asset management part of it, the master plan, which was 85 plus a yearly.
yeah, 2,500?
Yeah, plus
And
2,500.
Doug, you said somebody works with the Tippecanoe County?
Yeah, so the commissioners there use the program called Cartograph, and I've asked them to send us a sample to the auditor's office so we can look at it. I mean, they, Tippecanoe County doesn't do a plan. They have each department bring them what they want done. Then they have a joint meeting of commissioners and council, and they go through that plan and all those, where they get their own bids on anything to be done. The commissioners and council set and they decide, this is our first project, this is our second project. That's how they do it in Tippecanoe County.
Sure.
And then they use Cartograph, and they have an employee who programs everything in when they have a furnace filter put in or anything, they keep track of it there in Cherokee County. So, and then they use Tecton to, on any project, and they're very happy with them, so.
Yeah.
And I assume Tecton is about like Chura, but Tecton is local, and they said they want somebody local to keep
So
track of their projects.
Tecton is a construction management company. Where
Right, for
Arctura,
any projects, yes.
where Arctura has in-house architects and engineers. That's where,
And where's this company from?
They're from Indy.
Okay.
So Tecton is great. We work with Tecton all the time. They just, if any blueprint need to be produced, it's outsourced. They don't have in-house architects. They're using architect firms to do that. Tecton, yeah. And they're just not in the architect world at all. They are hands down a great.
So this company could do it, all that for us?
Yep.
So you get that more information.
Okay, so I will get more information from Michael Conley. Are you looking for specific bids now? So here's the deal. I mean, I guess Brandon probably would do it. He doesn't recommend going back to the boiler system, but do you want to take Amoresco out of the scheme then and get prices from Scott specifically and Brandon specifically? I mean, is that what Tom's asking for?
I don't think you can take Ameresco out of it yet.
Because-
You got three bids.
I
But what we need to know,
when you, and I leave them all in, They gotta do it.
Well, so you can't leave, Amoresco isn't competing against Scott and Brandon, they would be using them guys to accomplish their work, they're not competitors.
I think you need all three bids. Whatever they do.
Well, I think that's always been the consensus, that we wanted to know, we wanted to quote on keeping the boiler system.
Which Amoresco gave you that.
And it was 300,000 to 400,000, but that did not include air conditioning, it was heating only.
Right. So why isn't Scott giving us a quote for air conditioning and boilers?
Tom will find that out.
Okay,
If you want me to do it.
yeah, you find that out, you find out
Those questions.
the other questions, get that to us and we can email it to everybody and we can
So I
discuss it.
think you should, it is on the MRS go for that VRF,
Yeah,
because its prices are going up, it's not gonna be that now.
right.
Jim, is that the C option over here?
Yeah, it's option C.
Option C.
Are you going to bid on like the jail has also? That system?
That's the BRF.
That's what we have.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that something that Scott does? I don't know.
Well, he can, there's a difference with Reynolds, Reynolds, Andrew's right, Reynolds thinks that you ought to upgrade. Just,
I wonder if it's more cost effective on the day-to-day
I don't know about that, I think it'd go on.
operation.
Their biggest sell is more efficient internally. If that room's hot or cold, different than this room, she can be different than this room. You can't just set the boiler at 72 degrees and say good luck.
But we're spending $100 a day on utilities. Did they give us an estimate of what it's gonna cost for the VRF?
They did, I believe. I'm not sure there was any substantial savings and efficiency there. And operating expense, I guess.
We need to move, because Sheriff's got something he wants to bring up to us too, so we'll get all that information and then we'll go from there, but the heating and cooling system, that's gotta be taken care of as quickly as possible. No, they passed me a note that you had something for us, and so I knew you needed to get back to
Yeah, it's nice to look at the cases that guys come from Illinois. Right now, we are at 67 in jail, okay? That's, I got 2 paroled, 19 Sullivan County holds, so Sullivan County's paying us. And I've got 6 went into the DOC, and the rest are ours. I've got people in JCAP, I've got, preachers coming in and talking, and my thing is, I'm also looking at the aspect, I'll know a little better today around 3 o'clock from Vermillion County, Indiana, how many inmates I'll be getting. In that situation, I need more jailers. It's not exactly safe right now. If I was to have one jailer watch to hang with this group, then this part of the jail or pod is wide open with nobody able to go to them if something does happen. And I'm wanting to hire pretty quick and get this going so I can get them trained before I get into Vermillion County. So Vermillion County, there is a good ask or possibility of looking at 30 more inmates, which, so right now that would take us up to 97. So 16 jail officers is not going to cover 97 inmates without somebody being stretched really, really thin. So my question to you guys is, can I hire from you?
Commissioners will have to approve that.
I talked to them,
They did last week.
and I just want to make sure you guys were good with this. You know, all the way around, and I'm not trying to hide that from you guys or trying to bring people in just because. So I'm just looking more at the aspect of safety and security of the jail. So
So the way it was the jail study was done prior to us opening, so we needed 20 jail officers to operate that facility efficiently. We settled for 16 because we were at 30 or 35 inmates at the time. Now we have doubled that. And when somebody calls in sick, that leaves us with 3 jailers. At any given time, you have to have 1 jailer in bookend and 1 in control, because we have inmates in both parts of that jail. So they cannot leave their posts. So that leaves you with 1 roadman to cover answering intercoms or getting things for these inmates. Because when somebody calls in, we try to cover shifts, but people don't want to work 7 days.
I mean, I even went back there and worked
So
myself, just so there was plenty of people back there, which
with
that's
this,
where I come from, so.
and we have a JCAT program, the chemical addiction program, that's running now full force Monday through Friday, all day in our jail. And those inmates go from the block to the classroom, back to the block to the classroom. And we don't really like leaving the JCAP director alone with our inmates. So we try to appoint 1 jail officer to kind of hang with her throughout the day. And that's, basically 8 to 4, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. So there's some downtime in there where they're in their block doing classwork, but we also have Bible studies coming in. There's a lot of different programs.
We got a lot of things throughout the day going on. I mean, at once, courts, big classes, things like that.
Basically, this would guarantee us 2 roving officers.
Right.
Instead of just 1. So
How many more you asking for right there?
I'm asking for.
that would put us under 1 jailers that the jail study had originally said we needed. And that should
How
give
many
us,
women are you asking?
well,
2
we hired 1.
Hired, female.
We're still 1 short as far as that goes, for a shift. So
What's
1 shift only has all males on it. You just can't get female applications.
what's the total cost for,
The $55,392.
plus an 80,000 for benefits?
No, that's with benefits. That's broken down. I can make a copy of that.
Oh, okay, so it's 55,000 times 4 then,
Yes.
so 223,000 approximately.
And as of the month into March, we brought in $101,000 for out of county housing.
Are these for people just when we get the prisoners from?
No, this is
Oh,
permanent,
that should be permanent.
because I don't,
You're needing 4 now with just 67?
this is so I can get them trained and get them going.
Well, what will the jailers from North Maiden will be doing then? Are they gonna be on layoff?
I'm not sure what Sheriff Foley is going to
It'd be
do.
like we could bring them up here for the time we've got.
We can look at that aspect too, it's not something housing question. But also, at the end of the day, I want to make sure our jail is full. If we're not, I'm not making money.
No,
That's
we
my-
don't know when it's supposed to
So even when we get rid of the Vermillion County people after they build their new facility or whatever, so it'll be a year from this summer. We still want to keep it full, still want to keep it at 90 or 95 inmates. And in order to do so, we need more jail staff, because right now I've got a video right here of 1 officer handling a fight in a block of 16 minutes.
Yes, I do.
1 jail officer, because we had 3 jailers working that day. So that's, to me, that shouldn't happen.
And then jail rotate, you got the block, you got 5, you got 1, and those 5, it's a 3 deck,
It's a 2-story,
2,
16 in a block.
and they're all out, could be the same time.
So, yeah.
What do we get per day?
3750.
So those 30 people bring in $1,125. a day, yes. Times 365, 410.
So that's pretty well doubling what we would pay to hire 4 more jailers.
Right. No, one thing we said that we wanted you to bring money in
We
to
still do
cover,
make
so we still, yes. So,
Dave, do you have any objections?
okay.
Thank you. You guys have anything for me for you?
You got your scanner in yet?
May
August
3rd,
May 3rd?
we
Okay.
it bumped us back. You guys coming in actually this week to start looking, we're gonna put it in.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we got, County Highway Department radios. Quote was received from Raycom to update the Highway Department radios, $75,260.70. Plus $3,500 per year, which you'll need to put that in your budget, that $3,500 will be budgeted. Right. Oh, do we have to pay the 3 years up in advance? Okay.
That was, I apologize, I didn't have that on the first quote, and when I went to get it, that's what it was, that was up front, all one contract. I apologize.
What did you say?
85,760.
Yeah, 85,760. Well, no, that's, we just gave them approval, the commissioners approved it.
If the commissioners.
Then they got to come to us for an additional to vote on that in the next meeting. We can't approve it until the commissioners approve the 4 jailers. Okay, so is there a motion for the radios for the department? Second. Dale? All those in favor? We just gotta look at the budget and see what funds we're gonna take it out of. You don't need to know that right today, do you?
No, I don't.
I'd love to do that budget here and see, okay. Ambulance performance mechanical, $1,985 for work done prior to repair the heating system in the Bay Area. Is there a motion to approve that? Jim Lee, Bill, second. All those in favor? No. Then the commissioners also approved the purchase of 5 thermometers in the amount of $1,375. They want to use CARES Act money, which takes approval of both council and commissioners. Commissioners have already approved that and not CARES, so is there a motion to do that? Okay. Second, Dale, all those in favor? And then the auditor requests to transfer $4,000 from computer maintenance to office supplies. Is there a motion to approve that request? Jen Lee and Tom second. All those in favor? Garth, do you have anything?
Just let you know, elections are the first 3 months. I think a lot of that's going to reflect what we had issues in the last quarter, which was October, November, December. We're seeing a lot of that coming back. So collections are up due to Jeff being moved in office and helping a lot with that. I think it's going to continue to stay at that level with his help. Run numbers, we're still running pretty hard right now. We're still way over 240 runs a month. Truck wise, a little update on the new ambulance, the remount. Andrew was asking about it. There is no 2021 ambulance package chassis available. They're all sold. So we were moved to 2022. And right now, we're looking at late August, maybe, heating delivery of 2022. They are now telling GM, Ford, Navistar, and everywhere, they're encouraging the factory to shut down because they can't get parts. So right now, as of end of last week, he said, looks like late August. We'll get it, and it'll be 60 days from that point to, put it on the chassis, and we're looking November, May. So with that being said, I mentioned to commissioners, with that being, and the way we've been running our numbers, we proposed that we would get a new truck or whatever every year. We really need, now we're getting ready to go into budget time, something you guys really probably need to consider. We probably need to be looking at another truck in 2022. Now, we can look at remount. I have really one of the top of the line boxes over there that I would like to remount. So that keeps the cost down a little bit. Look at that option. If you're not, you can look at a brand new, but you're still looking in that $225,000 to $250,000. But something to put in mind, we're really gonna have to look at it. I know we try to keep it every year, but 2020 and 2021 right now, we're running pretty hard and putting a lot of miles on the trucks. If we wait another year, we're gonna be way behind. So,
Look at it.
yeah, that's what I just want to put it here, look at it, but we're gonna have to have a serious look at that. Now, you guys have any questions for me? By the way, the heating and cooling is working, or the heating was working as well, learned a lot. There was a lot of things that was lacking, not put in the system that should have been put in. Scott was very instrumental. He was on the phone a lot with engineers that work with that. A lot of them were kind of puzzled on how the system was set up. And it worked very efficient when we had it up and running. So.
I'd like to add on what he's talking about. We're planning that in the dump trucks and all the equipment too. There seems like COVID knocked a whole year of production out. So now you're seeing shortages everywhere. And ketchup. You can't get ketchup anywhere. That's one thing that COVID knocked a lot of paper. So just wanted to reiterate that is a factor throughout the whole system is equipment. Vehicles.
Anybody else have anything?
I need to get put on the agenda for maybe for next time to talk to you about L&D, about outsourcing the tax statements next year. If your first question is if it's gonna save us money, when you hire a service, it's not gonna save you money, that came with service, but it's gonna save you in other things. So if you wanna look at it and maybe put me on the agenda, you're coming up on a 2-hour meeting, I don't know, do you wanna talk about it now?
Well, actually, in this, what we'll want to discuss probably at budget time,
Okay,
because this is
You
for
wanna
next
look
year's
at it?
budget. She ran into problems with the tax statement with the lows that I stopped in there and they had piles and piles and she had to use her overtime person a lot because it didn't store them and
yeah, this software.
outsourcing does that.
It does not correlate your TS1 and your tax statement. You have to do that by hand. So you're doing over 30,000 sheets of paper, correlating them by hand. And it does in alphabetical order, but in districts. So Tom, you have 10 different parcels in 5 different districts. I have to go look for your other parcels in the other district piles, whereas our old software pulled all of yours together. Unfortunately, our old software is phasing out, and we can't have that back, but this would save a lot of time. It would save on paper, envelopes, postage. They have a system that reads the address. It's a national read system, and it would pull all those addresses together. L&D could do that. They also can get my TS1 and my tax coupon. They can get it approved by the the LG a lot quicker than I can. They do all of Lao. Now, Lao has 49 of the 92 counties now since Manatron's phasing out, and only 4 of us do in-house. So only 4, and I see why now, why those Manatron companies went with L&D, so I see why now. But I think we tried our best to get the postage, to get everybody together and get the postage down, but I'm not confident that we did. And L&D can do that for us too, so, I never thought I would be asking that because this is something I always enjoy, but I feel like the Lao software is antiquated to what we had years ago. And I talked to Sean Lau about it, and there was no plans to upgrade the tax system. And L&D can do all that for us. And you're gonna get your tax statement a lot sooner. You could have had this probably 3-4 weeks ago. So, and that means you're bringing in revenue 3 or 4 weeks ago. All these other counties are bringing in the revenue, and we're not. We just got them out on Friday. So that's another selling point.
I just got one from Tippecanoe County on Friday.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Okay, so, yeah.
anyway, can we put it on the agenda for another time to talk about it?
Yeah, and well, at the time, we'll wanna bring in all the numbers and look at that. Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else? Anyone else have anything?
I do.
Okay,
I got a bill on the vestibule of the jail to clean up. Our deductible was $1,000. The bill was for $586.67. The bill was presented to me. Can we take this from the lit special purpose? Since it was a,
I would think, you know, that would be.
I thought so, but before I did it, I wanted to make sure.
I mean, I would do it if they come back and say we can't, then we'll have to pay it out. Yeah.
Then I have another bill from Cushing System. It was, the quote was structural drying water damage due to sprinkler. That's the wrong bill, sorry. Cushing was a jail modular server installation final payment. It has to do with the software with the new jail. Can that also come out of special purpose? It was for $1,550.
I would think so, because we think
Okay.
it's for the.
I'll send them through them.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else? All right, next meeting was May 10th. Yep, May 10th. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second? Bill, all those in favor? 7-0. Thank you very much.